Live. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Let's put you in here a little bit, Kim.
Okay.
Hi. We were having a little bit of technical difficulty, so sorry we're a little bit late on here, which will get fixed. That's why we stick to flowers and weddings and not tech stuff, right? So thank you so much for being with us. Hey there, everyone. Right now we're only going live on Instagram because we were having some issues going live with both. So hopefully you guys can hear us. I am Francesca Airs. I'm a 17-year veteran in the event industry, and this is my co-host Kim Lovett, a 37-year veteran in the event industry and founder of the greatest event design and planning company in New Jersey, in my opinion, ever. Together, we are your dynamic duo from Marquee Florals Design, event design, where we plan and decorate parties in a very big way. So every week, we're coming to you with a different topic. Hi, Jen. Hi, everyone.
Fran, I'm so impressed.
Me?
Yeah, you memorized that whole thing. It's the same every week, and I'm waiting for you to say something. That's really good.
I'm studying how to do a good, I
You
want
are.
to do
Great.
it right for our listeners.
It's
so
fantastic.
I've
I'm
been working
very
hard.
proud of you.
Oh, Siggy. Siggy says hi, Kim.
Oh, Sig, how
Oh, we
are
miss you.
We miss you.
So we're actually finding that so many more people are watching on Instagram. So I'm going to see, we might just go live on Instagram going forward. We're going to take a look. But either way, so glad we're here. Before we even get into today's topic, we just wanted to open up with sending our condolences and our love and support
and
prayers for everybody that's going through this awful hurricane, and really anybody around the world that's going through anything as a result of Mother Nature. We're really thinking about you. We've been watching the weather all day, and we just cannot get our minds off of everyone out there. And so if there's anything that we can do, if there's anything that you have in mind where people are looking for help, please let us know, because we would love to help. But today's topic, going right into it, we're talking about ceremony decor.
Correct. Ceremony decor.
And there's so many things that you can do with a ceremony. And why don't you tell everybody all the different types of ceremonies? I mean, we work with so many different types of religions, and even if you just name a few.
So I guess the ones that we work the most with are, Jewish, number one,
Mm-hmm.
and of course Christian at churches, and then Indian weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun and colorful, beautiful. And then now, recently, we've been doing some Muslim weddings,
Mm-hmm.
which has been, I think, very interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we're going to start off with church weddings, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more direct. There's only so many things you can do in church. Most of the church weddings we do are in Catholic churches. So I think that when you're doing a wedding in a church, I think it's very important that you find out the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you book the wedding, and most of the time the church has like a little book or whatever, and read the rules, because some churches don't allow pew bows and this, that, the other. But a basic church scenario is altar arrangements up on either side of the altar table, right? Mm-hmm. I particularly always like to raise them,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'll put them on a riser with beautiful fabric coming down
Mm-hmm.
to cover, because we want it to look like a wedding arrangement and not a sympathy arrangement. Mm-hmm. That's really important. Mm-hmm. Very important that the florist makes something that is happy and
Mm-hmm.
not something that's for a sad occasion. So that's always something to discuss with the florist. But we put fabric on the stand so it looks wedding. We always, lots of times we put a pretty bow in it if you want. And then you could do those in white, or you can do it in the color of the bridal party. So just depending on your church. If your church needs a little bit of lift up there on the altar with color, then I would say add the color. But even just white and greenery is absolutely beautiful. I love it. And then usually we do some pew bows. We do the first, the third, and the fifth. Mm-hmm. That's standard, like just basic. Mm-hmm. We can do a beautiful double-faced satin bow. Mm-hmm. We could add greens or flowers to it. Baby's breath always looks pretty. I really like that. And then no aisle runner at Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's very rare that you're ever allowed to. There was one wedding we did in the city a few months ago, and they allowed it, but everybody is touch and go. You really have to check with your.
It's more than likely it's 90% no, unless the priest is your relative.
Yeah.
So
they're very strict.
They're very strict about it. I guess there was crazy lawsuits. Somebody tripped on an aisle runner, sued the church. Okay, tripped on aisle runner. Somebody got hurt, lawsuit against the church. So the diocese, Newark Diocese and the Metuchen Diocese have kind of just banned it. So, and even in Staten Island, it's not happening. So anyway, check with your church, but basically no aisle runners. And then if you're going to do flowers to the Blessed Mother, we do a beautiful bouquet of white roses with pale blue ribbon to present to Mary, if that's going to be part of your ceremony. And also, which I think is really quite nice, is like we do a long stem rose for moms. And we do a beautiful rose with pretty ribbon. And during the sign of peace, you come and you kiss your parents, you give your mom, present each mother, groom's mother, bride's mother, with a rose as just letting them know how important they are in your lives.
Yeah, we call them presentation
roses. And it's also a beautiful photograph. And let your photographer know that you're doing that.
Yes.
So he doesn't miss it, because if he's in the wrong spot in the church, he won't get it.
Right.
So I think that's really important. And basically that's it at church. I mean, we did a really, really fancy church wedding not so long ago in Staten Island. And I mean, it was crazy over the top. I mean, they spent thousands in the church. And it was an Italian family, and they really, the church was the most important thing for them for the whole day.
Yeah.
So they went really over the top, and it was really quite gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's just as much, if you want to, it depends on how much you want to put into it. And we'll do whatever needs be.
I mean, I can only think of 3 clients where we did it really big at the church.
At the church, yeah.
So it's not allowed often, but.
Right, but, we do it. Anyway, so then our next is Jewish. I mean, we do so many Jewish weddings. Oh, and I have to say Shana Tova to all of our Jewish clients. Happy New Year. Just happy and healthy, definitely.
Yep.
So it's important.
Everyone's celebrating.
And also remembering our 1-year anniversary of Israel's problems. So that's always in our prayers. So Jewish weddings are really usually done not at the temple, unless you're having your reception at the temple. Different temples have, catering halls in them. 99% of the parties are done wherever the catering is going to be. So whether it's at a venue or at a hotel or whatever, the services are with the party part of the party, of the event. So if we're at a hotel or a catering hall, so a lot of the catering halls now are building separate ceremony spaces. So they don't have to do it in the room and then go to cocktail, and we have to change the room. So there's it almost brings I think the churchiness,
the element of the religious
significance to the space. So we build beautiful huppahs, and if people that don't know what a huppah is, it's represents the 4 poles, the four corners of your home. And then we do fabric on the top for a roof to the roof of your home. So that's the start of your life together. And so we do beautiful huppahs with fabrics. We do them with flowers going across the top, down the legs. I mean, there's so many. Look on our Instagram and
different ways
and website, and there's tons of them. And so we do beautiful huppahs. Then we're able to, because it's in the venue, whether it's temple or a catering venue, we're able to use your table centerpieces as part of the decor in the ceremony.
Yes.
Which is absolutely fantastic. So we bring columns and we put them, in the back of the aisle. Sometimes we're doing centerpieces. The big trend now is centerpieces down the aisle.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so I would say I think, a really big advantage to getting married at the venue, because you can use your reception flowers during the ceremony.
You'll get the most bang for your buck.
Right.
And
so you're
like,
using
this is something we always talk about. We're very big on repurposing and being smart with your dollars, not
and not wasting flowers.
Not wasting flowers. And you know, if there's a trick up our sleeve we can think of, we're going to tell you during those appointments that we have together.
Right, absolutely. So so things down the aisle runner. We do some gorgeous aisle runners, some really beautiful things with monograms. We have runners that don't slip. So
yes.
So nobody's going to trip and fall. They don't wrinkle, so they're absolutely beautiful. So we offer that, which is really quite nice. And so ceremony is usually about 30 minutes, right, for a Jewish wedding.
Yep.
And so I think that it's become so popular to be married at the venue that we're doing a lot of Christian weddings at the venues as well. And of course, then it's the same thing. You don't need a huppah obviously, because that's a religious significance, but we do beautiful arches. We can take your table centerpieces and we can do like 4 columns in the front on either, like 2 columns at 2 different sizes on either side of the bride and groom, and use your centerpieces on those columns.
Right.
So it's making like an altar kind of a feel, or a section where you're getting married. It like kind of encloses you, which I think is really beautiful. And then we can use more centerpieces down the aisle on columns. So we love that repurposing thing. So that really works in those spaces.
We love that thing.
We love that thing.
When you save money, we love it.
It's true. Try to, listen, everything's so expensive now.
I know,
so
it's crazy.
As much as we can repurpose, we really like to.
Yeah.
Then we have Indian weddings. And Indian weddings are quite interesting. So they use the same, so beautiful. They use the same kind of structure as a chuppah, but they call it a mandab. And it's definitely bigger than a chuppah, probably almost double the size. A chuppah is 8 feet by 8 feet most of the time, and a mandab is definitely 16 by 8 deep.
It's usually raised, right?
And usually on a
stage.
On a stage, we cover the stage with beautiful fabric, so it's not like this ugly beat up. It looks really pretty.
Right.
And then we do the mandab there, and there's beautiful furniture that we rent because the family and the officiant have certain spots to be sitting under the mandab. And this, I want to go back to a Jewish wedding. It's very interesting. Indian are they're similar in some ways.
Yes.
So for a Jewish wedding, the bride and groom's parents are underneath the chuppah next to them. So it's like the family coming together.
Yep.
I wanted to keep that in order and I didn't. But that's the thing. And then for Indian wedding, also, the parents are nearby, very similar. And, but, Indian weddings most of them are very colorful, beautiful fabrics, beautiful garlands of flowers, bright and bold. So it's quite beautiful. And then the same thing, we always do flowers in the back. Yes. There's always a big basket of petals for people to throw. But a mandab is beautiful. There's just like almost like a stove underneath because they've got incense going and whatever. So it's quite beautiful.
A lot of elements and components.
Yes.
And Indian weddings are more than a day. They're a couple days of celebrating. So there's different traditions for each day. So.
And that ceremony is usually about an hour and a half. So it starts and always in the morning. Yeah. And so we start about either the night before 12:30, or we're there at 4 a.m. to set the decor. 9 o'clock, the groom is arriving.
Right.
And he usually comes in a special car, or in India, an elephant, Here, not so much with the elephants. But in India, absolutely. Cars, I think, are more the thing here now, getting a really fancy car. And then the parents when the groom comes out off the car, the parents of the bride are there to meet and the families, and then they come in together. It's quite beautiful, really, really beautiful.
It's really nice that we get to be a part of all these different traditions because we are, we are born, one religion and from, one, nationality, and yet we have the opportunity of working with people of all different
religions.
backgrounds and religions, and
it's fun.
We get to help be a part of it.
And you get to celebrate in different ways.
Yeah.
And it really is quite lovely to learn other people's customs.
Yeah.
And I think there's better understanding between people when you learn about who they are and their customs and what they mean, and then you find the similarities between all religions and people. So it really is quite nice, and Fran and I have been very blessed to have that experience.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks ago we did a Muslim wedding.
Yep.
And we did it at the mosque, and we put up a beautiful backdrop and an arch, and no particular aisle, or there's no particular seating. I think, I didn't see the seating part. I don't know if it's floor seating or, but very, very beautiful. We did beautiful arch. We did a whole big backdrop of colorful fabrics, crisscrossing and whatnot. So that was really beautiful. But yeah. Russian Orthodox we did. Oof.
Yeah.
That was something. I think we talked a little bit about that last
we did.
week.
Yeah.
Russian Orthodox. So I think just really pretty. So those are the big, I think the biggest decor. And you can see that, again, on our website, Instagram, and all that stuff. What else were we going to say about ceremonies?
Actually, I have a couple things. One is we know that there's certain things you can and can't do even when you're doing a ceremony at a venue.
Oh, absolutely.
So why don't you touch on that? Because every venue is very different.
It is.
And they also change their rules daily, weekly. And
midstream.
We might not get notice of this. There isn't like a fax that goes out. Oh, God, fax. I'm really dating myself.
So I think that different venues have rules about candles. Some venues will let you have live candles.
Right.
And whenever we do a live candle, it's always in glass because you have to have the safety factor of it. And then some venues will only let you have LED, even on the table centerpieces. It really kind of depends on the town that you're in and the rules of the fire code in that town. Like East Brunswick, Hilton, hotels especially, they don't want live fire. There's just too much of a danger, too many people in the space, so they kind of shy away from it. Fran and I were having a conversation. We did this party this past weekend at the W Hotel in Hoboken, and there is a wall of shelving, and we put 180 candles on this wall, and we were talking about live candle. They let us do live candle in glass and doing the LED, and I said,
gorgeous.
It was beautiful. I said, I really want to do the live candle because I think that we're going to get a better look out of it and whatnot. So we did the live candle, and it was beautiful. But then the caterers came up to us and said, if you did that in LED, it looks just as beautiful. And I said, really? I said, I didn't know if it would. And she said, yeah, it really does.
I happen to like LED
You were
candles.
pushing me towards LED.
I'm always a proponent of LEDs because when I know in a room when you take a step back, I kind of put myself in that space of being a guest or being, that couple, and we are so used to being very detail oriented, so we look at things very, very closely. And LEDs, they last, they don't create any issues, they don't blow out, it's just it's safer and all around it really ends up looking really great as a whole. So
I'm old school. I like the
You're
candle.
Old school, yeah.
I like the candle.
I guess LED, I'm new school.
But you know what? I think at the end of the day, and a lot of people are afraid of fire. Brides have had bad experiences. Moms have had bad experience with candles and whatever, and they want the LED. And I think that at the end of the day, you're still going to get the same effect, and it will look beautiful. You do what's comfortable for you. You do what's comfortable. And especially if you're outside, windy, no, you got to use LED.
Right.
Because that's a master disaster.
Absolutely.
So, what was the other thing you wanted to talk about?
The other thing was when there's glass going down the aisle, it's very important to keep everybody safe and to not kick that.
And when we say glass down the aisle, we mean grouping of candles down the aisle, and of course we put them in glass cylinders.
Yes, so, which we do that often.
Very
often.
Often. Not at churches, but at venues.
Right, but we do something very specific so that we keep everyone as safe as possible so that just the bridal party is going down the aisle.
Right.
So we've ribboned the inside of the aisle, and then we've ribboned the back as well, so that all of the guests enter and are forced to enter
and go this way,
the outside.
And, right, enter the outside because
you want the least amount of traffic.
Yeah, because people are not looking down; they're looking forward, right? They're looking at a
Yep.
beautiful arch or a huppah or whatever, and they're seeing relatives they haven't seen and friends, and they're like, "Oh, you know, hi, blah blah blah," and they're not looking down, and the next thing you know, they're kicking the glass.
Right.
And then we've got, you know, it's not nice to hear that sound. And when it was,
there's just
and then we have it creates
magnitude
of issues. So the ribbon down and just leaving the aisle pristine for the bride and groom really, I think, works lovely. And people don't care; they gotta get into the aisles either way.
Right.
So it's pretty good.
I'm actually going to put you on the spot. I have a question for you.
Oh.
What is the worst, I guess, master disaster due to just an accident, like with a guest hitting? This is a great story for today.
I did a wedding at the Short Hills Hilton, and we had these big, tall wrought iron pieces that were coming down the aisle.
I know exactly which ones you're talking
about. I think you were there. So they're like 6 feet tall, and then we take your table centerpiece, this big, centerpiece, and we put it on top. That was the style at the time.
Yep.
And so we had candles and glass down the aisle. The room was massive. It was a really big room. We had a stage with the huppah up on the stage and the whole bit. And so I was there like the whole time during the ceremony. These were clients that I did all their 3 girls. I did all their bat mitzvahs, and now I was doing all their weddings.
Yeah.
So, of course, we ribboned, and we ribboned back, and so ribboned all the way down. And you have to understand, when that ribbon comes down the chair, it's the same height as the top of the chair. So it's like here, okay? And that ribbon goes from chair to chair.
Yep.
So I'm looking and I'm watching, and I see, and there was an aisle runner down, and I see a woman walk from the front of the aisle down the aisle. And, she couldn't get in through the back, right? So she went all the way around. She went down the front of the aisle and started coming this way.
Oh, no.
And she wanted to get into the row, okay? And now these big, tall pieces are connected with the ribbon. So there's 3 of them, and, they're like this. And I can't say, if you leave them alone, they're fine. But if you're going to mess around, it's not going to be fine.
Oh, gosh.
Well, all of a sudden, she had a gown on. She lifted her legs to go over the ribbon that is 36 inches high, okay? And she was no basketball player. And so I ran down that aisle. I was like, wait, because... No, exactly. That commercial. And I was just going to see these tall things just coming down, one on top of another. It would have been dominoes.
I have chills just thinking about it.
And she looked at me, and she got really angry with me.
Really?
Yeah, she got really angry with me. I guess because I embarrassed her, but I didn't mean to embarrass her, but it would have been horrible.
That would have been a master disaster.
She would have got hurt. I mean, she really would have gotten hurt. And so she was, she got a little mad with me. But I saved the integrity of the aisle and, of the ceremony.
And the ceremony as a whole.
Because in the ceremony, you don't want things to break. You don't want things to fall because it distracts. And then it's on, you hear that noise and stuff on video. Yeah. And so, you just want everything to run.
Around,
you want it to run smoothly.
So that's really interesting. And
but isn't it funny? Every time you ask me a question, I can think of something that happened.
I knew that you would have something right up your sleeve.
It just came right to my head.
And,
I've been traumatized for 37 years.
Yep. Another, I don't know all the details of this. This is just a quick story, but wasn't there a venue in which the groom accidentally hit, I think it was glass with water and a floating candle. This is why we don't do glass with water and a floating candle.
It looks amazing in the photographs.
It does.
And it can't be.
But it's a hazard, it's dangerous, it's all the things. But didn't he hurt himself? He kicked it and cut himself?
Yeah, I think he kicked it, and because the water came pouring out, and he fell.
Yep.
And he cut himself.
And then when we started going to all these venues, all the venues started saying, "Oh, you can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore." And
they let us do it until there's a disaster.
Yeah.
But again, the groom wasn't looking at the floor.
Right.
And listen, we had a groom fall in the pool at Rockley Country Club.
No.
Yeah, taking a picture, and he's going back, and the photographer's taking the picture, and he's telling him to move
Oh
back.
my
And the next thing you
God.
know, the groom's in the floor.
Is this
in the
before
pool.
or after the ceremony?
Before.
Oh my God.
We should have saved that story for another time, but that's whole
We'll
other
have
thing.
to get into the details
Before
of that
the
one.
ceremony, it was pretty funny.
We'll definitely have to get into that one more.
But yeah, and there could not have been a better place that saved the day.
Right.
At Rockley.
Right.
They had a tuxedo for him
Oh
in
my
20
gosh.
minutes. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well,
But,
oh wow. Well, I mean, to recap all of that, there's really a lot of different things you can do depending on the religion, the tradition, the venue, and luckily we are really versed in all of those different types of ceremonies. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask us at any time. Go on our social media, give us a call. But we're happy to share that information. I think it's another great reason why the fact that we are an event company and we focus on this sort of thing, we really do know the ins and outs of
when you come to sit down with
what to
Francesca
think
and
about.
I, we know your what you need for your ceremony. And there's it's interesting. There's different kinds of degrees of Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Jews that are very Orthodox, and they need they have some different needs than a more reformed or a traditional Jewish wedding would be. So, and so when you come and sit down with us, I think it's great that we know all the ins and outs. Sometimes we know more than the clients, and I'm saying to them, do you need this? And they're like, what's that, Kim? I was like, yeah, you need this. But yeah. And
you'll definitely get an education with us, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's a joyful experience.
Yeah.
It's good.
But thank you so much for joining us this week on Blooms and Banter. We are wrapping up this week, but we will be back next week talking about receptions and what that looks like to decorate. So please, any questions, any topics you want coming up, please put it in the comments below. And
so next week is going to be centerpieces, and then the week after we're going to talk about planners. The week after that.
Oh, we have a lot to say about that.
So yeah,
that'll be a good one.
That'll be a good one as well.
So yeah, keep coming on Wednesdays. Please follow us if you don't yet on all of your social media. We're on Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And
talk about us on New Jersey Brides.
Yes, the New Jersey Bride on Facebook. There's a New Jersey Bride group, and we would love for you to share your experience on there, because a lot of women go there for our true
problems, questions,
recommendations, and I think it really is a great space for you to go if you're planning a wedding and you just want to know from person to person,
bride to bride,
exactly,
which their experiences are. So I think it's a cool
thank
thing.
you so much for being with us.
Thank
we
you.
will be here again next week at 4:00.
Okay.
Have a great day,
Have
everybody.
a great night. Bye bye.